Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for checking back on Grazio Arts. When I originally started this channel, it was called Shooting the Shit. And basically, the concept was that I was going to go ahead and load up my art. And not just load up my art, but also, talk about stuff that interests me. Art isn't just being able to draw, but it's also about making things, which so far I think I've shown on my channel. But I also wanted to go into making my own little comedy skits and, doing other projects as well. But one of the other things is showing the things or making critiques on other things. And one of the things I've always wanted to talk about for the past 2 years now is the Force Awakens, the Star Wars movie that came out in 2015, late 2015. And you're probably asking yourself, why start talking about this now? There's so many reviews you can watch on YouTube. But despite all the reviews, I think there are some things that haven't been said that need to be said, especially since The Last Jedi came out in 2018, which was 5 months ago. And I have my 2 cents to put in, so sit back, relax, and if you're at work, this is a really good video to listen to while you're at work. It'll take your mind off of work and maybe make you even chuckle a little bit. So what I want to start off by saying, since it's been 3 years since the movie came out, I think that The Force Awakens 2015 was probably the worst movie in movie history. And that's saying a lot. Why am I saying that? Well, come on. Back then when the movie came out, I was excited. I was really excited. Ever since 1999 was episode 1, episode 2, episode 3, we were let down by George Lucas. And if it hadn't been for films like The Lord of the Rings, and other franchises that came out in that time, I think it would have been a really, really boring time, And when Disney announced that it was going to make episode 7, 8, and 9, and they weren't going to do so much CGI. They were going to do film sets, and they were going to stay true to the universe that we knew on the original trilogy. Well, I got super excited. And I'm like, finally, people who understand the film franchise and who are going to make this movie fun again. They're going to make it fun. Star Wars was always fun, regardless of how you feel about the movie. It's entertaining and it's fun to watch. So in 2015, what Disney did was, and it was kind of suspicious to me, because what they did was that they released all this merchandise, tons of merchandise, months, I'm going to say like maybe 3 or 4 months before the movie came out, because the movies come out in December, and the merchandise came out months before that, like in August or something. And okay, you get excited. I, like every other idiot, went out, saw the merchandise. I'm like, okay, that looks cool. I'm going to get that. That looks cool. I'm going to buy that. T-shirts, primarily toys, notebooks, diaries, basically, everything that caught my interest. I bought it. Lightsabers. And come December, the movie comes out. And I'm like, what the fuck was that? Literally, I'm like, what the hell was this? And I couldn't understand when the movie came out and so many people went to see it, that there were so many people who liked it. They liked it, and they thought it was, I remember one guy saying that it was masterfully crafted and that it was the greatest thing that they had ever seen. And I'm like, what are these people smoking? And can I have some? Because you must have needed a lot of crack, a lot of pot to see that movie and think it was good. And what I mean by that is that The Force Awakens, and this is going to be my first point, The Force Awakens was basically a cheap ripoff, a bad copy of the original Star Wars film that came out in 1977. And if you didn't see that, if you didn't notice that, then I guess all that fluoride in the water is actually working. Because damn, there was even a Death Star in the movie, and it was like the super giant mega Death Star. And the way that they destroyed the Death Star was basically the same way they always destroy them. But this was just ridiculous. You know? It was ridiculous because it was the same thing. And one of the many, that's one of the many things I had a problem in with this movie. It was just a copy of the original, and it was a really bad copy. It was like, oh my god, it was just terrible. It was just a bad copy, and it was just ridiculous. You know, I think that if you really like this film, you're either a millennial or you're just so desperate to like something that you're just going to like anything that Hollywood or Disney gives you. And I feel sorry for you. Now, my second point is the characters. The characters in this movie are so underdeveloped that I have a hard time connecting with any of the characters. Any of them. I didn't like any of them. And somehow, in some way, Disney found a way to make the original characters, I'm talking about Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, they found a way to make them unlikable. I don't know how they did it, but they did it. They made them unlikable. And that's, I couldn't believe that that's what I was saying. Now, the first character I want to talk about is this Emperor Snoke. Now, who is he? Where did he come from? How did he take control of the Empire again? Or, I'm sorry, how did he take control of the galaxy again? And get this guy, Ben Solo, to start working for him? Who knows? Because up until now, with Return of the Jedi, where Emperor Snoke dies, we still don't know where he came from, how he got his power, and how he was able to take control of the galaxy after the Alliance had just won the war and beaten the galaxy. So what his backstory is, it's never really explained to you. And I think that's kind of just bad storytelling, because that point connects to my other points, is that why are we even here? You know, when you tell a story, and this goes for any movie. This is a theory that I have. When you tell a story, there has to be a reason for the audience to want to hear that story. Whatever the reason is, it has to be a good story. If you don't have a good story, you're not going to have a good movie. And not only are you not going to have a good movie, but you're not going to have people invested in that story that you're telling. And that's what I feel is going on with this latest Star Wars franchise. They don't have a story. So if you don't have a story, there's no real reason for any of us to be here. And if there's no real reason for any of us to be here, this entire trilogy is just not going to go anywhere. And I really feel that's what's going on, because with The Last Jedi, this is the second movie in a three-part trilogy. We're already at the second movie. There's only one movie left, Episode 9. And I never really felt that this trilogy ever got off the ground. One of my other little points is, after Emperor Snoke, there's Kylo Ren, or as he's otherwise known as, Ben Solo. And with Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, if he's a Sith Lord, or if he's a bad guy, where did he get the name Kylo Ren from? You know, every bad guy that's ever come out in a Star Wars film is always called Darth something. So it could be Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, Darth Vader, Darth Plagueis. You know, Darth is always at the beginning, and then they have another name right at the end. It's a two-part thing. Okay? It's a twofer. Kylo Ren, where did that come from? That doesn't really inspire fear in anybody. And when I got to know this character, Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, I really didn't understand what his motivations are. You know, why is he on the dark side? Why is he fighting for this Emperor Snoke? What are his motivations? You know, what triggered him to go into the dark side? And another thing is that, why is he wearing that ridiculous costume? He doesn't need it. And that just goes back to my original point, where they're just copying the original trilogy. You know, he's literally trying to dress up like Darth Vader in this really bad costume, pretending to be Darth Vader, but he's not Darth Vader. He's using a helmet that he doesn't need to use. And what makes it worse is that Han Solo's character actually tells him that. He tells him, you know, take off the helmet because you don't need it. To add insult to injury, in the second movie, The Last Jedi, Emperor Snoke tells him the same thing. He tells him, take off that ridiculous mask. And I'm like, okay, why is this guy wearing it in the first place? You know, instead of inspiring fear, or instead of liking him just because he's a bad guy, the way you might like Darth Maul because he's really, really cool, even though he's a Sith Lord, Kylo Ren turns out to be this awfully pathetic character. And in layman's terms, he's a loser. He's an absolute loser who has this incredible power, but he's basically whining and complaining, and you don't even know why. He's like an emo. Okay, he's like an emo Sith Lord. You know, the only thing he needs is the pink hair or the red stripe in his, the red highlight in his hair. But he's basically an emo. He's not a Darth Lord. He's just an intergalactic emo. And you don't know why he's angry. You don't know why he's sad. You don't really understand his motivations. He's just there. And I thought that was just really, really bad. One of the bad scenes that he was in that I thought that just made his character even worse is that he actually kills Han Solo right at the end. But that entire scene, the way he kills him, is just like so blah. It's so blah. It's so mediocre and so stupid. It's just like, okay, now we lost Han Solo in the stupidest form you can think of. Basically, in the scene, if you've seen the movie, and if you haven't seen the movie, here's a spoiler. But basically what happens is that Han Solo is trying to talk to his son, Ben Solo, or Kylo Ren. And he's trying to convince him to, to stop, to leave the dark side and come with him. And in that scene, you see Ben Solo in this struggle to make a decision whether to go with his father or to keep following Emperor Snoke. And basically, he makes this decision to turn on his lightsaber, and the lightsaber penetrates Han Solo. And Han Solo caresses his son's face, and then he falls away. He falls into this pit. I think they're inside this chamber where they're trying to turn off some tractor beam, the same thing that they were doing in the original Star Wars film. And so he falls into this pit, and he gets lost. And I thought that was just ridiculous. It wasn't a sacrifice because he didn't really need to make that sacrifice. It wasn't like when Obi-Wan Kenobi sacrifices himself to save Luke Skywalker, so Luke Skywalker and Han and Leia and Chewie could get away from the Death Star. No. So you really can't feel the loss or the heroism of Han Solo in this film. It may be painful to be stabbed with a lightsaber by your own son. It sucks. But as an audience member, I really didn't feel. I just thought it was completely useless and a waste of a good actor. And you can also tell that Harrison Ford, the actor who does Han Solo, he just doesn't want to be there, He doesn't want to do this anymore. He's just basically going through the motions, and he doesn't want to be there. And I think he's actually happy he got killed off so that he doesn't have to appear in any other Star Wars film. I think in the past 40 years, Harrison Ford hasn't made it a secret that he dislikes Han Solo for some reason. He doesn't like doing the role. So, I mean, try to go and understand that, who this guy who became famous after Han Solo doesn't appreciate or like his role as Han Solo. So that's another point that I have. And my third point is the main character, Rey. One of my issues with Rey is that she's supposedly strong with the Force. And throughout the movie, she uses the Force like a regular Jedi would. She even mind tricks. She uses a mind trick on a stormtrooper, I think, to get him to release her from this interrogation table that she was strapped to. And I'm like, you know what? I could understand that she's super strong with the Force. But what I can't understand is how she's able to use these Jedi mind tricks against someone if she's never had any training. And I really feel that the people like J.J. Abrams, who directed the film, don't really understand what the Force is. Now, if you consider Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi, even Anakin Skywalker, who was created by the Force, it was a virgin birth, similar to Jesus Christ. Even he needed training to become a Jedi, let alone to start using Jedi mind tricks on people. And this chick comes out of nowhere, and she starts using these Jedi mind tricks on people, and I'm like, whoa, honey, where the hell did you learn how to do that? And it's not her fault, it's the fault of the writers who have this agenda that just because she's a female and they want to make these empowering females on film, which I understand, but you can't go into ridiculousness. Okay, she hasn't received any training whatsoever, and basically she was just doing what Obi-Wan Kenobi did in Episode 4, or the first Star Wars film, and she was just doing it out of nowhere. No experience whatsoever, no training whatsoever. And to make matters worse, her character actually has a lightsaber fight with Kylo Ren, or Ben Solo, at the end of the film, and she succeeds. She survives. She actually beats Kylo Ren just because she's strong with the Force. But she's never received any lightsaber training whatsoever. And, I don't care how strong with the Force you are, if you don't know how to fight with a sword or a lightsaber, your ass is going to get chopped. Seriously. And this chick just does it out of nowhere. And like I said, I understand these new films want to empower women and empower girls, but you got to keep it within reason. For God's sake, try to keep it within reason. And this character Rey just does stuff out of the blue, and that kind of transitions into The Last Jedi as well. She goes and she tries to find Luke. She finds him, but he doesn't do a damn thing to train her, and she basically trains herself. And what happens is she has a moment that they copied from The Empire Strikes Back, where she has some sort of revelation, although she doesn't have a revelation. So in The Empire Strikes Back, if you remember the film, or if you haven't seen the film, go see it. Luke Skywalker goes into a cave, and he has this otherworldly experience and this confrontation with Darth Vader. But it's in a spiritual sense. And he has this revelation to him that he doesn't quite understand, where he cuts off Darth Vader's head, and the face mask explodes, and it reveals Luke Skywalker's face. And he's completely dumbfounded by this. In The Last Jedi, Rey, she walks into a cave, and she has a similar experience, but it's all bells and whistles, literally echoes. She doesn't really see anything. She has this trauma where she doesn't know who her parents are. And in this scene where it looks like it's about to be revealed to her, she actually just sees a reflection of herself. And I'm like, okay, these writers, they're just copying what they saw in The Empire Strikes Back. And what makes it sad is that they had a real opportunity to go into this entirely different direction and to make an original film that was fun. But what they're doing is that they're copying the original films word per word. And they're hiding it under these new characters. But it's basically the same thing. And I'm going to let you in on a little secret and on a suspicion that I've had ever since I saw The Force Awakens. Remember, these people at Disney, Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, they're not doing anything original. What they're doing is they're just copying the films. So, what I saw right away from the get-go is that Kylo Ren and the character Rey, they're brother and sister. Now, that hasn't been revealed in the films, but because they're not doing anything original, I really feel that in episode 9, they're gonna try to reveal that Kylo Ren and Rey are actually brother and sister. And the reason I feel that, one of the reasons is because, like I mentioned before, they're copying the original trilogy. And in Return of the Jedi, 1982, Luke Skywalker gets the revelation that Princess Leia is actually his sister. Okay, so since they're copying the movies and so forth, they have copied everything in The Force Awakens from Episode 4, Star Wars: A New Hope. And in The Last Jedi, they copied everything from The Empire Strikes Back. I actually feel that they're going to copy this in where either Ben Solo or Rey finds out that they're actually brother and sister. Another thing that I'm using to get this idea from is because if you read any of the novels, countless novels, and countless comic books from the 80s and 90s, you kind of already know that Princess Leia and Han Solo, after Return of the Jedi, they get together and they have kids. Princess Leia gets pregnant, and when she has her kids, she has a pair of twins, or a set of twins. And one of them is a boy, and the other is a girl. And one of them is called Ben Solo, and the other is called something else. A girl, I can't remember what her name is, but that's what happens in the novels and in the comic books where Princess Leia has twins. And oh my God, guess what? In these movies, we have a boy and we have a girl who are basically the same age, that I think that they're twins. They're not identical twins, but they're twins. And in the episode 9, they're just going to reveal that they're brother and sister, and that Han Solo and Leia are actually, and always were, they're their parents. And for some stupid reason, they abandoned Rey on this sand planet. And I'm thinking it was something to do with Emperor Snoke. Okay, because the Emperor was trying to get these Jedis and try to use them for his benefit. They're going to pull off some stupid shit like that. Okay, I'm sorry for my language, but they're going to pull off some stupid shit like that. And they're going to think it's original and it's amazing, but it's not. They're just copying the original trilogy. And I actually see that coming. And I'll get into that in my second video when I analyze The Last Jedi, because there's a lot to be said about The Last Jedi. But going back to my rant on The Force Awakens, those are basically my main issues with the film. It's a cheap copy, and people like Kathleen Kennedy and J.J. Abrams directed the film. They're not doing anything new under the sun. They are literally ripping off the other films. And if you can't see that, man, I really feel sorry for you, because they are taking you for every cent they can. If you pay to see these movies opening day, you're giving them money so that they can give you crap. And if you buy the DVD, you're giving them more money so they can sell you crap and spoon feed it to you. and you're liking it and you're loving it and you're saying thank you, sir, thank you, ma'am. And I really feel sorry for you. And man, there's so many people who love The Force Awakens. It's ridiculous. It's like you can't see that they just regurgitated the original Star Wars and put it on screen. You actually can't see that. And that's just sad. Now, if any of you have a comment, or if any of you have anything you'd like to add to this critique of The Force Awakens, go ahead and comment below. If you have a different opinion as to why The Force Awakens was good, it better be valid and it better be good. Feel free to comment below. I see no redeeming quality in The Force Awakens. I really don't. It's just a bad movie through and through. And what's even more sad is that these new movies that they're making the prequels from 1999, 2002, and 2005. They're making those movies, episode 1, 2, and 3. They're making them look better. They're making them look good. And I can't believe this, but those movies are bad. But they're way better than the movies Disney's making now. And you know, we're going to have to all go apologize to George Lucas and ask him to come back, because regardless of what he did in the prequels, it's still better than what's going on now. So I think I covered all my points on The Force Awakens. If you guys want to go ahead and answer back, or put in your 2 cents about this movie, go ahead and leave a comment below. Be sure to check out my other video on my critique of The Last Jedi. I think it's going to be a little bit shorter, but there are a lot of things that need to be said. My message, my personal message to J.J. Abrams, who's a terrible director, by the way. I think he only made one good movie, and I think I'm the only one who liked that movie, is Star Trek 2009. But my personal message is to him is that, JJ, no matter how much money Hollywood throws at you, you will never be a film director. You will never be a filmmaker. So you need to go back to television where you started, and you need to stay there and do your little TV shows, because you're not good enough to do anything else. I'm sorry. So yeah, that's my message to J.J. Abrams. My message to Kathleen Kennedy: you are killing the Star Wars franchise. And you're not going to realize that until it's too late, if you even care at all. So that's my rant on The Force Awakens. I think I got everything off my chest. Be sure and stay tuned for my next video. I do plan to upload a video every day or every other day. So if you enjoyed my critique on The Force Awakens, stay tuned tomorrow for my critique on The Last Jedi. Thank you so much, and I'll see you guys later.